Hello, welcome to our weekly meeting. First off, I want to thank you for your feedback on the mid-course evaluation. I may be saying that wrong. The mid-course feedback, I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to do that. I will try and incorporate your feedback into this. I will hopefully smile and also talk slower because, maybe I'm talking too fast. So thank you for your suggestions. So let's talk about last week really quick. You submitted your pre-IRB applications last week. You should receive feedback on those in the next couple of days, but you can go ahead and get started on the actual IRB application before you receive feedback on that. The actual IRB application should take 30 minutes, probably a lot less because you've already gone through the pre-IRB applications. So I'm hoping that's like a maybe 15-minute things, I'm hoping. Incorporate the feedback that you received on your methods section into this. So that's going to be the biggest hiccup that you'll have. Everyone, I believe at this point, does have feedback on their methods section. That's what the gradebook's showing me. If you don't have feedback, let me know and we'll make sure that that is done correctly. So incorporate that feedback into your actual IRB application. Remember, all group members need to be on the same page. There were some groups that did their methods sections together and some groups that did them separately. If you were one of the groups that did them separately, you need to merge it all into one and make sure that you have one cohesive method section. I recommend that you create one cohesive method section that goes into all of your final papers, but that is entirely up to you. It just makes things a little bit easier because you are all answering the same research question with the same survey using the same process. So you should theoretically be using the same methods. It's a little bit weird that it's an individual assignment. This really should be a group assignment. Okay, the other thing that you did last week was the research ethics quiz. And I'm just gonna pull up that quiz and we're gonna talk through a couple of the things. We're actually going to go through all the questions really quickly. Question 1 said, scientific research on humans can be ethical only if its risks are outweighed by the benefits. Profits, never going to be part of it. Advantages, outcomes, not going to be part of it. And that gets us into some of those gray and less gray areas of what has happened with research in the past, whether it's psychological research, health research, medical research, research in general. We know that sometimes research has been done because the outcomes outweigh what is being done to the people, or there's significant monetary profit, things like that. But research is only ethical if the risks outweigh the benefits. And that gets us into some conversations like the benefit for who, but the purpose of that, risk outweigh the benefit. Okay, question 2, examples of research risks to the participants include failed treatment, psychological harm, physical harm, and loss of privacy. This is where HIPAA comes into place. This is where we start to think about what is potentially psychologically damaging, or in the case of our survey, what makes someone have some level of discomfort. Failed treatment is also something that tends more towards the medical research side. If you are to participate in a clinical trial and it doesn't go how they had expected, failed treatment could be a risk because you didn't receive useful treatment and it may make your condition worse. Question number 3, which of the following groups have not been exposed to excess risk by researchers in the past? The answer is children. However, that is not true. Children have been exposed to excess risk, however, that is the answer. But there are some really famous studies that look at horrible things that were done to ethnic minorities, disabled people, whether physically or mentally disabled people, and institutionalized adults. That kind of goes with that. There's also been some really horrible experiments done on prisoners, low-income people. Think of any disadvantaged group in society and horrible things have been done to them for the sake of research. Pregnant women, all sorts of things. For the purpose of this, the answer is children. However, we may agree to disagree. Me and the quiz disagree. Okay, question 4. One's right to make their own choices is autonomy. So this is where your research subject can choose to leave at any time without risk. This is where they can choose to opt in, things like that. Yeah, okay. Question number 5, anonymity is one method to maintain the confidentiality of research patients. Confidentiality in research is a big thing. It is big not only because we want to protect the research subject's privacy, but also because we want to prevent the researcher from putting their own bias on the outcome of the study. So confidentiality or privacy is the correct answer for number 5. If you let me know if you got that wrong and you answered either confidentiality or privacy, because it's fill in the blank. If you spelled it weird, which confidentiality is a hard word to spell, it may have marked it wrong. So go back through and let me know and I will happily give you points back. Okay, question number 6 dealt with all the different variations that led up to the actual IRB. So the first one, the Nuremberg Code, it provided a standard to compare the actions of Nazi physicians during their trials. Question number, or in that Declaration of Helsinki, introduced the idea of independent review by a committee. The Belmont Report outlined the principles of justice, respect for persons, and beneficence as key tenets for ethical research. And the federal policy for the protection of human subjects established requirements that institutions that receive federal money have an institutional review board that oversees all research. And so this last one, the federal policy for the protection of human subjects, is what ends up creating the IRB that we know today. Question number 7, the Institutional Review Board exists to ensure that the consent process is adequate, that risks are minimized, and that benefits outweigh the risks. And like I said before, the IRB process goes for all research conducted on human subjects through institutions. So this can be psychological research, this can be research like we're doing, this can be full-scale clinical trials, but they all follow those same things. They all are looking at that the consent process is adequate. If you look at the consent process for a medical trial, you're going to notice that it is pages and pages and pages long. You often have some sort of patient navigator or nurse that comes in and explains what you are consenting for. The risks are minimized. We see the same thing. You are doing that. You're making sure that those questions don't cause psychological harm. And the same thing in a clinical trial, they're making sure they don't accidentally kill people. And then finally, the benefits outweigh the risks. So that's why the Institutional Review Board, or the IRB, exists. I would imagine that most of you will see the IRB at least some point during your public health career. They have them through hospitals, they have them through local health departments. If they are doing research, they have them through universities. Sometimes that's where you'll find the local health department meets up with the university, because a lot of research is conducted through the public health department in conjunction with the university. I know here in Georgia, we have our health department pairs with Emory University, and a lot of any research that is coming through the public health department is being funneled through Emory's IRB. Okay, so let's talk about where we are going next week. Or this week. I am already on to next week. Okay, this week you're completing your IRB application. We talked about that. So now we really are on to next week. We are doing the peer lit review. And you know what? I have amazing news for you. We used to have this requirement where you had to record yourself reading the lit review. So no one could ever listen to it. But now all you have to do is submit the paper copy, not the paper copy, but you know what I mean, the electronic copy. You do not have to read it and record it. You do not. That has been taken out of the rubric. So I think I mentioned that before, that you had to read it. Thank heavens that was taken out within the last couple of days. However, language for it may still exist in the course. I don't think it does, but I was skimming pretty quickly. You do not have to record yourself reading the lit review. If I did happy dances, I would definitely be doing one right now. So you need to turn in your document, follow the directions. If it says it needs to be a PDF, it needs to be a PDF. However, I actually think it needs to be submitted as a Word doc. And here's why. Because your reviewers are going to comment directly on it using the word review features that we talked about way back when, at the beginning of the semester. So you are going to be doing track changes, you are going to be inserting comments. Then when you get your copy back, you're going to be accepting, rejecting those comments, resolving, you know, all the things. So this is where that initial assignment is coming back into play. So let's take a quick look at that rubric. The rubric is broken into 3 parts. First, you will receive 50 points for submitting your lit review on time and that you made an honest effort. So if your lit review is like 1 page, horribly written, that's probably not an honest effort and you're not going to get 50 points. I'm just saying. But that's mildly okay. Please don't do that, because it doesn't help you with a peer review if you turn in a terrible lit review. And then your next 100 points, so 50 for each, are going to be for those reviews that you do for your peers. Okay, let's talk about the peer review. When you send me a major assignment, like the method section, you will notice that there are comments throughout, probably to the point that you think I'm annoying. I apologize. But there are comments throughout. There are comments asking questions. There are comments saying, change this word. There are comments saying, I don't understand. I think this area needs some improvement. That is what you need to do on your peers' papers. Reviewing your peers' paper does not take 5 minutes. Please plan on 15 to 20 minutes to review a peers' paper. Yes, you have 5 pages to read, but you are going through that and offering them useful suggestions. You are making sure that they are following APA format. You are making sure as you read this that it makes sense, that it flows, that there are transition sentences, that they are staying on one topic. You need to make sure that you do that. And here's why. Not only is it a courtesy to your peer, but also this is what your grade is based on. The rubric says feedback and markups addressed all 6 criteria prescribed by the instructions. So you have a little rubric included in your assignment that you're going to go through that includes the following: source, quality, organization and flow, length, writing style, APA, and finish up. You need to fill out the rubric and you need to put comments inside the paper. You need to support whatever you say in that rubric with comments. You can't just say, oh, you did a good job. No, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please be informative. I'm not asking you to write a novel. I'm not asking you to spend 2 hours on this, but spend about 15 to 20 minutes per paper, so 40 minutes total. Max it out at 40 minutes. Set a timer. If it's taking longer than that, no, don't let it take longer than that, because you have a busy life. So set a timer, 20 minutes each one, 40 minutes total, and make those comments. Read it, make comments as you go through, then do the rubric after you've made those comments. If you're making comments in the paper itself, it will make it so much easier to fill out the rubric. Trust me, I've done this a couple times before. So make sure that you are doing that. Yes, and make sure that you are turning it in on time. So you need to submit your peer review or your lit review by the 21st, which is this coming Friday. You need to have it posted so that people can start to pull it down and do the peer review. The peer review is due on the 29th, which is next Saturday. A week should be enough time to have you do that. Then once it's turned in on the 29th, and you have access to those comments your peers gave you, you have a week to make changes to your lit review before you submit it on the 7th. So you're going to want to do that. You're going to want to follow that timeline. It's due on the 21st to the discussion board. Post it as a Word doc. Then you have until the 29th to complete the lit review. As soon as your lit, or as the peer review, as soon as your peer reviews are done, as soon as someone has finished them and posted both the rubric and the paper with comments in it, you can start pulling it down and working on it. Your final lit review is going to be due on the, I believe I said 9th. That seems wrong. It is going to be due on the 7th, on March 7th, final lit review on March 7th. I highly recommend that you incorporate those suggestions from your peers into your lit review. It will make it better. Now let's talk about reading it out loud. Thank goodness that that is taken out of this assignment because it was not super useful to this particular assignment. But reading out your paper out loud does have a lot of value. I highly recommend you read your paper out loud because you will, before you even submit it to the peer review, because it will help you catch some of those things. It will help you catch typos. It will help you catch areas that are just strange. I also recommend too much public health department. Okay, I also recommend that you find a victim and you get that victim. I know that sounds really bad, but you get that victim to read it out loud to you because they will see that it makes no sense. I say victim because I used to make my husband read the papers out loud to me. And he did not love that because he is an accountant and he did not love reading public health papers. But have them read it out loud because their brains will not automatically fix some of those errors that yours will. And so they'll be able to be like, that makes no sense. I don't understand what you're saying. The point of a lit review is to inform someone of everything they need to know on that topic to understand your project. So you could take someone who has no knowledge of public health, for example, a accountant, and have them read it, and they should be fairly informed on your topic by the end. So really anyone can do it. Anyone that can read can do it. Maybe don't pick your kindergartner, but anyone that can read can do it. A spouse, a roommate, a child that reads better than a kindergartner. Anyone can read this to you and help you improve the paper. You might feel a little weird, but trust me, this is one of the best ways to improve your paper. Okay, the final thing I want to talk about is JASP. JASP is coming up. It is also due on the 7th. I will post a lot of things about JASP later this week, early next, but my recommendation is that you download JASP last week. So download JASP as soon as possible because you want to make sure it's working. If JASP isn't working when we get to the night of the 7th, I'm so sorry, I cannot help you, but we can troubleshoot now. If you are someone that has a Mac that is older than 2012, oh no. If you are, sorry, my work email, active TB, not good. Okay, so if you are someone who has a Mac older than 2012, there are some special steps that you need to handle. And I believe those are in the directions. If you are someone that is trying to run JASP on either a Chromebook or an iPad, there are some special directions that you need to follow. If you are someone that is running JASP on a PC, you don't have anything to worry about. If you are someone that is running JASP on a Mac that is newer than 2012, you also don't have anything to worry about, but you need to download it and make sure that you can open the program, please, by Saturday. Let me know if you have any problems with that. Okay, have a fantastic week. Hopefully I talked a little slower. Let me know if you have any questions. And thank heavens, we do not have to record ourselves reading the lit reviews. So I will send that out as well, but we don't have to record ourselves doing the lit review. It's such a good day. Okay, have a fantastic week.